Established in April 2021, Upland Development United is the oldest and most exclusive and transparent no development collaborative in the Upland Metaverse. Contact Morecheese or Ben68 for more information. Warning: this podcast is produced by Metaverse Ventures Entertainment. It contains unsolicited and heavily biased opinions which are solely the views of the individuals involved. It does not include investment advice of any kind, and you are responsible for undertaking your own financial, including tax liability research relevant to your own individual circumstances.
Taking over the Upland Development United. Total meta domination.
Hello and welcome to the UDU Podcast Year 2, number 47. I'm Ben68 and it's either Tuesday the 26th of April or Wednesday the 27th, depending on where you live. Straight up, today's episode is brought to you by the UPX Spark Exchange. The UPX Spark Exchange provides the Upland community with several groundbreaking tools and technologies to utilize as part of their gameplay and strategy. Visit their official website to learn more, and of course, the link is in the description. If you have an Upland NFT or Metaverse product, service, or event to promote, opportunities are available for sponsorship and engagement in the UDU podcast. Contact myself or Morecheese to discuss and secure your spot. Of course, all proceeds go towards giveaways and prizes on the podcast. Today's show is going to be a little bit different. We'll be skipping some of our regular features and segments, so that'll give us a bit more time for the discussion panel on the Spark economy later in the show. But we'll kick off with our Breaking Badly news, all the markets and key Upland events, and then we'll do a little tiny touch on some UDU team meeting stuff. And then we'll do the weekly giveaway. Then we'll head on over and we'll hand the reins over to Dak from the UCC for the special discussion panel. And then we'll wrap up with the 1 million UPX wheels, of course. So don't forget, if you want to be part of that 1 million UPX draw, you have to be in at the start of the Zoom for the snapshot. We'll come up with some keyword through the middle of the show, and you'll have to know that. And you have to be still live and participating at the end of the show if you want to have your chance at 1 million big ones. So to kick off, we got the Breaking Badly news, and thanks to CoinMarketCap, we've got the crypto markets. The global crypto market is down from 1.92 trillion to 1.79 trillion this week, and that's kind of reflected in the wider market as a whole. Bitcoin's dominance is pretty steady. Was 41.04%, now it's 41.07, so not much happening there. Bitcoin price last week, we were at 41K, we're down to 38.5K. Ethereum again down, was a bit over 3,000. Now we're in the high 2,800s. Wax price has taken a tiny bump down, was 27 cents down to 25 cents. Engine, pretty similar, was $1.51 down to $1.31. And we had a request for adding Ripple to the rundown in the show. So the XRP price, last week it was 76 cents. It's also down to 65 cents. So keep your eye out there. There might be some deals. In the Upland markets, thanks to the Upland Me marketplace, the 30-day transaction volume has dropped from last week, it was 3.17 billion. That's gone down to 2.84 billion UPX. The 90-day average transaction volume, it's also down, but only a fraction being the longer time scale, was 127 million UPX down to 126.5. Interesting, the 90-day average trading volume has taken a bump up, 9,533 up to 9,700. So we were speculating with the end of collection swappings, well, the end of that'd take a pretty heavy hit, but seems to be going in the other direction. Might have something to do with that Queen's Trading Challenge, or who knows. Thanks to upxland.me, we've got the tier one or the big city markets. And again, we've got another addition there because Cheese threw a shoe at me to add to the Bronx on. So San Francisco last week, we're at $25 US. That's down all the way down to 20. There's one there at 20, and then there's a bunch at 26. So keep your eye out for some bargains there. The UPX price was at 33K, and that's taken a little bit of a bump up to 34, 35K. Manhattan's had a bit of movement. It was way down to $80. That's bumped up a bit to 85, 89 in that sort of range. 120,000 UPEX up to now 127,000 UPEX. Chicago has had a bit of a bump down. The US price was at $5.40. It's now down to $4.70. Crazy. That's kind of getting towards mint prices almost for a lot of the Chicago properties. And the UPEX prices also dropped from 7.9 thousand to 7.5 thousand. Talking about USD floors dropping out. Have you seen LA? Was at $5.50 last week, down to $3. I don't know if somebody's fire selling there or what's going on, but yeah. Tier 1 city price is $3. Wow, crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Tier 1.
But the UPEX floor has gone the other way. Last week it was 7,400 and it's had a tiny bump to 7,700. Interesting to note that LA is 63% minted out, and Queens, which has only been live for a couple of weeks, it's already at 60% minted out. Massive disparity there, which is kind of very interesting. And of course, the Bronx, I'll have to throw that in. This week, we don't have figures from last week. So this week, we've got a $9 floor and 12,000 UPEX. So that's what's been happening in the markets. A little bit down, a little bit up, all over the place. Cheese, what has been going on in Upland this week?
A good deal. I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of, things going on. Spark check-ins first week. A lot of people got 0.01. So did I. I'm, for one, happy about this. I think something is better than nothing. You don't really want to give too much spark. Put it.
Red Milwaukee drill bit case. Oh.
Gotta love those hot mics.
You don't want to give out too much spark and devalue it. So whoever got more than 0.01, grats to you. I think it's great. Now, Queen's Discovery Tour is tomorrow at 11 a.m. PT. Visit every location on the tour to win 0.01 spark. This is not something that I particularly would do because I'm a treasure hunter. But if you're not a treasure hunter, then this would be something you would want to look into.
Yeah. I happened to listen to the Uplando show on recording last night when I was doing the dishes, and he's kind of convinced me to do that whole banking sends thing. So I signed up to go down his path. I like the way he's talking about banking those for an international city. So I'm going to jump on his coattails and follow suit, I think. Kind of makes sense.
You're right. I definitely did register for it, but I'm not going there.
Yeah. But aren't you, you're a Spark treasure hunter. So
yes.
You're
I'm going to use
gobble
those
up.
towards treasure hunting. Oh yeah, of course.
All right.
Now I'm still waiting for the winners to be announced for the Block Explorer Fine Dining Challenge that was announced last Thursday that it would be coming out the next day, Friday, but I never saw a winner. If any of you guys saw anything where it came out and I may have missed it, please let me know, because I thought that was a cute challenge and I want to see, what happened. Genesis Week ornament contest coming up, and some of the questions there have been a few questions asked, and I took what I felt were the most important questions in case someone is watching this and they don't really do the whole complete Discord thing where they go to each channel or they don't know about the channel for this challenge. Some of the questions that stood out to me were ornament 9K triangles. Does that include the building if the building is 8K? Answer to that was if you can go up to 5K triangles for the ornament, not including the building. Another question, can we make the light beam? Do we use certain techniques? Answer to that was you can stylize your own light beam, but if lag or memory issues are experienced, that Upland will apply their own version or clean up the player's version. So it doesn't have to be perfect. They'll kind of fix it for you.
Oh, that's good. Rather than just
definitely.
Rejecting it. Yeah.
Does the UV light need to be moving while submitted, or does the Upland team make it move as a hologram? Answer was no animations were needed, which is good. Question, is Blender Light feature allowed to use for this challenge? And the answer was no. Are textures with images of anything allowed? Yes, but not on the structures. And last question, are we allowed to hire 3D artists to acquire models for the contest? And the answer was yes, you can. Now, this is something really, really cool. I see you want to say something. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, whenever these kind of contests get thrown out there, I usually have an idea straight away, even though I don't have the technical skill in this case to be able to do that myself. But I was drawing a real blank for this one, but I did have a brain fart last night. So that's being able to hire 3D artists is it's an interesting concept. I guess they kind of have to say yes because there's no way to police it. There's no way that they can prove that you didn't create it yourself. So
yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing.
Well, what do you think about on the flip side of that? We know that there's several talented people who are offering out their services to submit for you and doing revenue share and that sort of thing. Because there was an issue with, I think it might have been was it the Christmas ones or something, where somebody dominated a lot of the votes and had several ornaments up for sale in there. And I guess the team's wants to limit that a bit to share the wealth. But in the background, that's going to happen anyway, because people are kind of doing deals, side deals.
True. Well, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and Steve has just said in the chat that the fine dining results are now up in the event winners, so that must have just come through recently.
Look at that! Look at that! You say it and it happens.
It's Dak's yellow shirt.
Last, just want to say that Block Explorer shop beta expansion, you have until April 28th, 11:59 p.m. PT. Remember, you need to have at least 55 Block Explorers currently to apply, and good luck to all of those who are applying.
Absolutely. We're just keeping it nice and short this week, as I said. Again, this will make no sense whatsoever unless you're watching one of the snippet segments, but we're going to take a minute to check out Arthur's Another Dose of Reality. Over to you, Arthur. Thanks, Arthur. I don't mind a bit of junk mail myself, but walking outside, ooh. Again, apologies, that'll make no sense to you. One last thing for the Breaking Badly cheese, wine and cheese update. What did we do last week?
We had Morecheese on. It was an awesome time. I can't wait to do the NFT that was discussed in the show. It's going to be really fun and dark and evil, but you know, that's who we are. That's how we roll, Ben.
Yeah, well, the Tales of the Crypto NFT that you showed me the work in progress of yesterday, that was definitely heading down that direction.
Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely. I need to add a little more razzle dazzle because it's my favorite project. It's really bad when I get somebody I really like on the show because I tend to go a little overboard.
Yeah.
Ben's like, hurry up, what's taking you so long? I'm like, more.
Oh, I didn't say that. Yeah.
I know, you know.
You put more pressure on yourself than anybody with that sort of stuff.
True.
Any hints for what's happening for episode 32? I know you don't like to give out hints. No?
So 32. I don't even remember.
No, that's the one coming up this week. I'm saying any hints for what we got recording this week?
See, this is a good thing. My memory is so bad because I can't let anything out of the bag because it's
cats
like
stay in the bags.
The cats stay in the bag, suffocate.
All right, and don't forget to as part of the Wine and Cheese show, Morecheese puts together a custom episode themed NFT each and every episode, and they're free to collect. If all you have to do is watch the show, and there's always some hidden prompts to do, and you can get yourself some of the free custom themed Morecheese NFTs, which, what are we up to? Episode 31. That's quite a collection we got going on at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for the Breaking Badly today. As I said, we'll just touch on a few things for the UDU team meeting side. The wine of the week, everybody's favorite segment. The dreaded missing zero intern strikes again. Did you catch that email about the daily Spark logging bonus where the minimum was going to be 0.1 Spark? The intern has done it again.
Yeah. I mean, I think, thank God people are kind of used to it. So they kind of brush it off. But I mean, it's still a little embarrassing. Like, why do people need to, like, if you're known for messing up and people brush it off because of that, it's bittersweet.
Absolutely, yeah. So that was a good one. I was exactly the same. I just had a bit of a chuckle. Hello, Nick. How you going, mate? Screaming at his kid or something. So on the flip side, we've got 2 wins of the week this week. So yeah, again, we'll touch on the Spark login. I got 0.01 Spark just by logging in, which I do anyway. So that's kind of a win. I just saw Dak posted he got the 0.03, and that's the biggest I saw. I saw Atomic Pop post on Twitter that he got that. How'd you go, Choose?
0.01, and I'm all right. Dak wants me to talk about Kew Gardens. Remember my conspiracy?
Yeah. Lay it out there.
So it's not a conspiracy, but it is. It's speculation that's fun to think about and wish. So during the collection opening of Queens, they put a picture on Kew Gardens, which was the Kew Gardens that is located in London. Now, you would think, okay, maybe they just Googled the wrong picture and, they weren't able, they just needed to fix it. But it was fixed within minutes to the correct picture, meaning they had both pictures on hand. So this could mean, London is out there and it's ready to come out, but when? But it's there.
What's your speculation? What time frame are we looking at? Are we thinking is this going to be a Genesis Week announcement, or what is it? Isn't there another big NFT thing coming up?
I don't know. I'm happy about it. I'm ready to sell some stocks, maybe some crypto. If it's international, I'm gonna definitely break my rule of putting more money in. But I hope I have a little bit more time to prepare for it.
Nice.
And to not have to do that right away.
All right, and I'll just jump in and say thank you to Jazz. She has taken the snapshot for the 1 million UpX wheel.
Thank you, Jazz.
That's step 1. Where was I up to? Win of the week, yeah. So, and there was another one. A big shout out to Light It Up Dan, a red team member. There you go, Mossy. I'm using your terminology already. Who managed to get the sprites for treasure hunts fixed to match. So, if you haven't noticed yet, if you look at the treasure hunt tab, it actually has the correct sprites for each of the different types of treasures. That's something that we've been whinging about for 2 years. And yeah, I got in his ear the other night as part of a wider whine about things, and he had it fixed up within minutes. So just goes to show that attention to detail can be done. You just got to whine about it for 2 years. So great stuff, Dan. Well done. UDU nodes around the grounds. I don't know that we've got any other node managers in besides Cheese and myself. As far as Midtown Terrace goes, I just finished help build an apartment there, and that favor is being returned. So thank you for that. So working on another apartment, and then I'll go back to stacking on randoms within Midtown Terrace. Midtown Terrace is still the #1 most developed neighborhood in San Francisco at 45.2%, and it's 3rd overall in building ranking score and overall living units. So pretty happy with the progress there. My contract with the UCC, we're currently up to build 94 of 190, and I'm grinding away to make another payment before Dax sends his hellhounds after me.
He puts a horse's head in your bed.
Yes. So, yeah, I had a pretty big, massive savings target that I was aiming for. So I've been pushing that off. So it's time to catch up on some payments. How's things going with your node, Cheese? What's happening?
It's good. I took a little bit of a break because, all right, so I started a Cleveland build before Bronx even came out. And it's like it has 10 more days to go. And there, like, I was like, there's a 0.40 Spark that I could be using in my node. So let me just get it out, get it done so I could pull everything back. I believe I wanted to try to start Finn's building to go up. I know I want to do one for Blood. He's going to be coming in. Okay, I have most of my spark stakes on my Bronxdale apartment, so I'm definitely coming to you, Finn,
Oh, cool.
when I'm all finished and get you up
Nice.
there. Like, I'm not staking on any of my builds in the node. I'm doing everybody else's first, and then I'll come and concentrate on mine.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think it's pretty smooth sailing in the old UDU at the moment. It's just everybody doing their thing, so it's always good to see.
Yeah.
As part of that, it was great. Thank you for pushing out the what did we have? We had the Sovereign membership NFTs got pushed out, and yesterday you just did the Sentinels as well.
Yes, and I pushed them out this morning. So all the Sentinels, Finn, Nub, Bach, Steve, Eric.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's up next? We got the Acolytes next, or are you going to do the
Yeah.
Old Guards, or?
Whatever is in that list, I have it up actually. I'm gonna try to do it as much as I can between my arting. I have Artificer.
Artificer, yep, cool. And
Artificer.
just on those ones, because of the low numbers there, we may airdrop those if you're well known and active. Otherwise, with some of the other ones, yeah, you're going to get the link and you'll have to go over there and claim it yourself.
Yeah.
Just to save with the mints, but we'll see how we go. Just keep an eye out on the chat and we'll go from there. All right, is there anything else you wanted to touch on as far as UDU goes, Cheese?
Good for now. If I have like a brain fart in the middle, I'll say it after our big discussion panel.
Nice, and we're racing through this, which is good. So we'll wrap that up there and we'll head on straight over to the Upland Mash segment. Now, the first thing we do in the Upland Mash is we find out who is the winner of the previous week's challenge. Last week, the challenge was you had to jump into the MBE server and say the phrase, what was it? Teddy Pig lives forever?
Teddy Pig lives forever.
Which confused the hell out of Teddy Pig. And you had to put an address in because the prize was win 9.9 Spark rental for 3 days to complete a small townhouse, or the equivalent if you wanted to build an apartment or whatever. So assuming that my donkey computer will load this, is that up on screen?
It's getting there.
You got that?
There
So
he goes.
I have put Coop in there. Like, he did say Teddy Pig lives forever, but he didn't put an address. So if he does happen to win, I might have to bump him down to 8 Spark or something because he didn't quite finish. So let's see who's going to win that. 9.9 Spark for free. And I think that's pretty fitting. Congratulations.
Wow, congrats.
City Runner. Congrats, City Runner. So send me a DM. Yeah, getting the low system resources. Send me a DM and we'll get that sorted out for you. I am finishing off that additional apartment in Midtown Terrace. So I think it's got maybe 5 or 6 days. So we'll sort that out once that gets done. The challenge for this week, which will be, the wheel will be spun next week, is to win a free property in Chicago, which is a tier 1 city hub. All you have to do for that is, well, you got to do a little bit of work for this one. You have to DM me the address of the property that led me to the creation of the node concept for neighborhood development in Upland. Shouldn't be too hard to find if you do a bit of clickety-clicking. So yeah, what was the address that kicked off everything in regards to the first node and Upland Development United and all the rest of it? And then Cheese has also said she'll put up a second place NFT prize from the Cheesy Vault. So we'll run 2 prizes for that next week. Okay. Yeah, very happy today to hand over the reins of the show to Dak, who is the Chief HR and Marketing Officer for the Upland Construction Company, UCC. And he's going to chair a discussion on the state of the Spark economy. Following that discussion, we'll run the 1 million UpX wheel spin, and we still haven't dropped the key phrase you're going to need for that. So keep your ears and your eyes peeled. Are you there, Dak? Over to you.
Hey there. You guys can hear me all right?
Yes, mate.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to put the topics we're going to talk about up. But before we kind of get started, I just wanted to kind of go through and introduce our panel today. I'll start with myself. And my name is Dak. As Ben mentioned, I am one of the officers at UCC and UMC, Upland Metacorp. Part of the reason I'm here today is we really wanted to talk a little bit about the overall economic model of Spark and what we're seeing happening in Upland and some of the ideas we have around what Upland can do to kind of help foster the Spark economy. And we put together a pretty amazing panel of folks who have a lot of vested interest. And so I'll just go down the list as I see them. MRFR, please introduce yourself and give us a quick little rundown as to why you're here.
Hey there, awesome to be on the panel. I'm really quite excited about this. As it happens, this show, or the previous version of it, was the first thing I saw about Upland ever. So yeah, really cool. Yeah, so I'm MRFR and I'm one of the moderators in Portage Park. So it's one of the nodes, and I guess by now, we always felt like underdogs, but by now I guess we're one of the more established nodes in Upland. We have 1,500 buildings. We're on the top of the leaderboards when it comes to constructed buildings, and 2 million Spark hours, I think. But yeah, so I'm one of the moderators and one of the members of the council that we have. And we wrote this little, I guess the reason I'm here actually to answer your question is that we did this call for action. So we wrote this open letter in the feedback to Upland about neighborhood collections and spawning player spawned neighborhood collections. So I'm hoping we'll get back to talk about that in a little bit.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be talking quite a bit about that. All right, so, and I might say this wrong, but no Saifi. You want to go next?
Hey, hello everyone. Thanks, Nip. Yeah, by my side. Yeah, I'm the co-founder of the Red Hook node in Brooklyn, New York City. I co-founded it with Updale, and yeah, so I'm here for the Spark stuff because I'm actually like building like a web application, like mobile application for like as a P2P Spark exchange. So yeah, that's why I've been invited today, and I'm really happy to be with you guys and really appreciate like all what UDU are building always. They are the pioneers around, so I'm always glad to be in those panels. Thanks.
Right, and then Mossy Jake.
Hey guys, my name is Mossy Jake. Thanks for inviting me to the panel. I'm a creator of the UpX Spark Exchange, as well as MetaMaps. So I'm a player here in Upland that's just passionate about the community and seeing the space grow. So any questions about any of that too? I'm excited to be able to share what I know as well. Thanks for having me.
Great. And then the Tempest, I know you've been having some connection issues. Hopefully you can jump in and give us a quick talk. Oh, he lost audio. So Tempest is representing Upland Realty. Again, another organization that is heavily vested in Spark and development. And so we really have put together a group of individuals that have been engaged and building the economic model around Spark. With that, I really wanted to start the conversation with one of the key reasons for the conversation and what kind of drove the idea for this conversation, which was 659, what I now have just referred to as 659. You might start to see that all over the place. Maybe there'll be an NFT for it, who knows? Hint, hint. And MRFR, you want to just kind of walk us through 659, how it kind of came about? I think last time I saw it had 137 upvotes, and we're trying to get it to over 200. So go for it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we fought when we wrote this, so maybe I should just say what it is before we start talking about it. And it's basically a call for action to try to just encourage, friendly nudge to Upland to kind of deliver on their promise or what they set out from the beginning to do about spawned neighborhood collections, player spawned neighborhood collections. So I guess the reasoning behind it was that we, at the moment, I don't know, Upland is amazingly successful in some sense and not very successful in some other senses. Like just the fact, the whole community around, you wouldn't believe what is in Upland if you just looked at the game, right? 99% of the game is spread on servers, is communities, chats, is this like podcasts and YouTube channels and all of this. And it seems like there's one thing and one of the main things that actually have been driving this or in the game, or that was kind of promised from the outset, and that was the idea that you can develop neighborhoods and you can develop communities, and that's going to be rewarded somehow. Like that's the metaverse idea. So friendly competition between neighborhoods is kind of driving this, and we've run with it. You know, we love it, and we've so much action going on. And I honestly don't think that Upland knows even half of it. I mean, I don't even know half of it. We all know what's going on in our servers, right? So what we wanted to do was just to make a call for action to Upland to deliver on this idea that we can have spawn neighborhood collections. So some kind of metric, the idea is there's some kind of metric that if a neighborhood achieves that metric, or combination of metrics, then they will be able to create a neighborhood collection, just like any other of the predetermined neighborhood collections.
And Mr. FR, this is not something you came up with, right? Is this based on what you've heard or information?
Oh yeah, sorry. The neighborhood. So that's been talked about in several AMAs. And I also think, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I also think it was in the white paper from the beginning. But it's one of those things that's just been dropped and mentioned repeatedly from the very beginning. And I think everyone had that in mind. Ben will be able to tell us more about that. But from the very beginning, the idea that we develop neighborhoods, because that's the whole idea, right? It should be filled of content. Upland should be driven by the players, you know? We do things and we drive the economy, we drive the communities, and that should be reflected in the game rather than the game deciding which is the best neighborhoods or most valuable neighborhoods. So yeah, so it's a joint effort, I should say. The whole panel, the whole council in our Portage Park server was involved in this, and we were actually encouraged by Upland, by one of the members of staff on Upland to try to push for this. But it's not a Portage thing, it's about all nodes joining together.
Yeah, and with that, Ben, let me throw it back over to you to kind of add to what MRFR was talking about in terms of this is not new. This is something that's been going on for a while, and Metaverser also kind of mentioned that it was discussed at South by Southwest and the LA NFT meetup. So this is not the idea of 659 is not something that just came up. It's something that's been around for a while. And so, Ben, you want to just add a little?
Yeah, I'll just say that, it's not a new concept. Like the whole purpose that kicked off the start of the UDU, aside from Meta Ventures, which at the time was Better Business, was the notion of neighborhood development, like coordinated neighborhood development. We know the Upland community is legendary at, picking apart the various things that Upland puts out there and going to town. I think today we have a good representation of the side of the community that's not just all about talk. This is the kind of the action side of the community where, we take that information and, in regards to the UDU, we decided we weren't going to sit around and wait for more information because who knows how long you're going to be sitting on that for. We decided to get the information that we had at hand and go full speed ahead and work with that. And, you know, that way, if we get 6 months down the track and the team changes, or, you know, the idea, or they define the rules or whatnot a bit better, then rather than picking up the ball from scratch, we just kind of pivot and kind of go with the flow sort of thing. So yeah, it has been a long time in the making. I guess I'm a prime example of somebody that's gone in very deep with that concept. Like, in partnership with the UCC, I'm almost, well, by the time we get done, it'll probably be 17 million UPEX worth of construction contracts. So, you know, it's not a small number that we're playing with here. And you've got teams like Portage Park who just go in absolute mental, building as much as they can, as fast as they can. And it's also tied up with things like the rental system that's been talked about as well, like renting out your property, and what's the word they use for nominated living residence or something? I don't know. I'm blanking on the term, but yeah, it's definitely been a long time in the making, and some more clarifying information would be greatly appreciated by all.
Yeah, and no cipher. Okay, how do I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah, it's Nosif. Nosif actually.
Nosif. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Nosif.
Yeah.
So you're with Red Hook, and you're also involved in Spark. You know, how do you see 659 supporting what you're doing and the work that Red Hook is doing? And you've been here for a while, just like Ben and Mr. FR and so forth. So what are your takes on this concept?
Yeah, actually, I will look silly, but I'm not really sure about what is the 659 concept. I saw like there is a form that was like dropped by I think you guys, Dak, right? But what is it? It's about
so
like collection spawning in neighborhoods, right?
Right.
Okay.
And what are the rules around it?
Oh yeah. So yeah, at the beginning it was just about like a percentage of building in the area. So yeah, they implemented on time with like kind of structure. You know, if you have like kind of luxury structure, it's bring more points. Then they add like the Metaventure stuff. So now the Metaventure goes in the counting about that. So I think until it's not released, we could see like more implementation in like in the kind of all the checkpoints. Maybe it could have like more checkpoints with more utility that comes, because I think like all those are really tight. So yeah, collection spawning, living units, and also like governance, all those stuffs are really tight, and I think it's really tricky for Upland to you know, really at this point really understand how they have to release those, because it will have like a really serious impact on the community. And I think if they do mistakes, it could like hurt the game on the long run. So yeah, I think like all these are really touchy, and probably they want to see a little bit more where it's going, about like what they can provide in the next like something like 6 months or 1 year, and then yeah, they will deal with that. That's my end goal. But I know, guys, us too in Red Hook, we really want to see those implementation come, because like we are chasing that too, right? Of course, as any node, like for the collection spawning and all that stuff. So yeah, we are really looking into it, but yeah, I'm not that, you know, rush, because it could take time to be implemented as I see it.
Yeah, and the reason that I wanted to talk about 659 and why it connects to the Spark economy, and if you're in the Zoom call and you look at chat, you'll see that the Tempest actually wrote a lot of really good information, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But part of the concept here is, how does 659 impact the economy, or the Spark economy in particular? And part of that is really about the structures and the meta ventures and all of the elements that are going to be scoring a node for spawning collections and the level of collection it would spawn. And so one of the and the Tempest mentioned this, one of the reasons we're seeing a kind of decline in Spark prices right now, which we all believe is temporary, is the lack of any real information on what the value of structures are, what the value proposition is long-term. And when someone can buy a property with a building on it for cheaper than it is to build it, why build? And nodes in particular, it's not like you can go and just buy whatever building is out there. You kind of have to build in the areas that you have. So 659 is, in my opinion, extremely important to the overall Spark economy and how that is going to evolve, how that's going to impact Mossy Jake and Use, UCC and UMC, how it's going to impact Upland Realty and so forth. And so Mossy Jake, kind of with that and kind of connecting to that, I know as the leader for Use, Upland Spark Exchange, what do you think and how do you feel about 659?
Sure. I'll jump in and just to correct real quick, it's actually the UPX Spark Exchange. I'm not sure if you said Upland or UPX. I get them both kind of confused, but the 659 is great. I mean, it's a good way for people to want to get together and build. I see the future of it as a little bit more speculatory. As we all know with the game, it's a lot of what we kind of want to see out of the game. With 659 and building communities, it's important that I think it's important that when we discuss trying to reach out to Upland, that give me 1 second, Dak. I'm sorry. I gotta take a quick pause.
No worries. And Morecheese, while we wait on Mossy Jake, you have you're part of UDU, you have your own node.
I'm an admin for UDU, and I'm a manager. Yeah, I'm a manager for my own node, co-manager in the wine and cheese. I see you saved the best for last by coming to me at the end. So I think that the 659 is important in a lot of ways, not just Spark. I feel that a lot of what we're seeing with new city openings are people go directly to minting the collections, and when collection reveals come out, there's a lot of empty spaces. I feel like if we had the kind of motivation to aspire to neighborhood nodes and more people came forth to create nodes, it would be spectacular in the sense where those non-collection neighborhoods would fill in more, and there would be more of a desire for them due to the possibility of making them into a collection. There's been so much said, and like you said, in every AMA, they mention it, and they're like, it's going to come out. It's going to come out. I have faith that it will come out, but I just hope sooner than later. I know we're all, but then again, it's kind of bittersweet because like people who, even though we started so early, like even though like Ben started as the earliest he possibly could, he was the pioneer of it. There's still a lot of work, and Spark being the price it is, I'm a day trader, so I kind of look at the advantage to everything, and I need to build, I need to buy from you, I need to get my stuff built. I know Spark is going to go up a lot, and I'll explain that more later for another question, but I think this is an opportunity for people and they're missing out big time. And yeah.
All right. Mossy Jake, are you back?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Cheese when we talk about bringing the community together. I think beyond just like the increase in value of Spark that the 659 would bring is about building the community. Right now, the widely accepted utility that we have for these structures are just meta ventures. I know that we like to use them for visual looks, but for physical, I guess, digital utility, it's just for meta ventures, and it's very difficult when we're still in the beta phase. I think it would be great to see maybe a timeline or just maybe a status update with the team. I know we're looking for a little bit more, and that's great. from my point of view, maybe just a status update and say, oh yeah, this is still something that we're considering. We know it's on your roadmap, but beyond that, it really would bring the community together to be able to say, hey guys, now we have that goal. I know with the Epic Spark Exchange, when I brought out the leaderboards as well as MetaMaps, those leaderboards for the Spark hunts, it kind of drove the community into competitive passion, player retention, and really wanting to come back to the game, as well as community. There's people in Santa Clara that were hunting and saw the leaderboard and decided, okay, let's group up and be a community and let's do this together kind of thing. Like, let's try to get riot mode, which is great to see. And so when you do these types of events where there's competition, it spawns this community bond that I think we're all longing for with Upland. The reason why we're on the panel today is for this specifically. So my thoughts would be, if we can get them just to acknowledge that it's still on their mind, and that they know that there's, like you said, over 200 people upvoting the 659 request and the feedback. I think that's a great start, and I'd love to be here. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, can I just jump in to say that the key phrase for the 1 million up extra is going to be 659 Spark Economy. 659 Spark Economy. So stick that in your brain bank. And Dak, are you going to run through the Tempest posts? So I think that's important to put that out there.
I am. Why don't you do that, Ben?
I'll read it. I got it up here. Yeah. So the Tempest from Upland Realty has said in chat, we do feel that there is a lot of room to grow. We have seen some of our build customers stop simply because they no longer see a reason to build. We understand. Without utility, buildings have little added value. Those building today are betting on the future. If and when structures have a use, they will be ahead of the game. And as new builders enter the picture, the price of Spark is likely to go up, especially if Spark has other uses such as supporting, cars and whatnot. In summary, if there is any current reduction in the Spark rental rates, it is simply a matter of supply and demand. And while a lower price may be warranted, we believe any reduction will be short term. And just before I hand it back to Dak, I can say that the UCC actually reached out to me and adjusted my contract price down to be in line with the current Spark economy. And I thought that was really good of them to do that. And I said in my chat with them, I'm expecting by the time our contract finishes, which the contract I've got now will probably be wrapping up about this stage next year. I'm expecting that our rates will have adjusted up and down maybe several times. So got to roll with the punches. Thanks, Dak. Back to you.
All right, thank you. And actually, that is a great segue into our next topic. So we kind of set up why 659 is important to nodes, it's important to Spark economy and so forth. We've talked a little bit and you've heard some of the thoughts already around Spark prices and what's happening. And so I just wanted to kind of go through the observations. Tempest put his in chat and Ben provided some information. Mossy Jake, we'll start with you in terms of what you're seeing in Spark prices, what you're seeing, the impact of demand in the exchanges, and then I'll talk a little bit about what we're seeing in UCC.
For sure. The Spark price as of today has definitely been taking a slight decline when we're taking into consideration new city releases. Utility hasn't fully come out for buildings yet. And what I notice is we're still earning a lot of Spark between Spark treasure hunts during the Sparked Up events. So each month for 1 week during the month, Upland puts on an event where we can earn higher Spark rewards for our treasure hunting. And we're noticing around 270 Spark being pulled out of the economy during that 1 week just from hunting. That's not including the stuff that's being bought on the store. So the amount of Spark being pumped into the economy is higher than I believe that the demand is there. And so that's one of the reasons why the price would be falling slightly. It's interesting to see with, I forgot it. Yep.
The daily.
The daily login bonus when that popped in. And so what I like to see is when they first started talking about pumping Spark into the economy was to get it into the players' hands so that there was kind of that Spark, I guess, like the Spark plug in a way to jumpstart the economy. And so it's looking good that they actually added the Spark login bonus. To me, it proves that they're still seeing Spark as a strong utility token in the future for building anything physical that's non-organic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I think at UCC, we also saw a decline in demand. And we had folks who were looking to use their Spark to make UPIX versus build their own. And part of the reason was they would rather try to collect UPIX now versus build a structure that they didn't really understand what the future of was, which is why 659 to me was so important. And as I was listening to customers and their feedback around what they, whether they wanted to build or not build and so forth, it kind of became apparent that the biggest issue right now is we're getting Spark and we're finding ways to get Spark, and people are buying Spark more so than ever before. And Upland is selling it every month at this point. And so Spark is definitely getting into the market, which is good because based on what they say, there's going to be so many different elements. I mean, we haven't talked about manufacturing, but the idea of outdoor decor, vehicle manufacturing and assembly, and so forth, there's going to be a lot of different elements that are going to use it. What's also going to be interesting is when they come in with STEM and the bio version of Spark. So one is kind of bio and life type tokens versus building and inorganic tokens that you might have with Spark. And so I think that that's going to create an interesting dynamic of where do people start to focus and so forth. But for now, I think the biggest challenge is when will we see real functionality around the structures we're building? I also represent Upland Racing League. And in the Upland Racing League, we've seen a lot of interest around tracks and racing and vehicles. And that is definitely one area where I think Spark and Spark economy is going to make a big impact, or it's going to be impacted by the community. And so I think that as the Tempest mentioned, and I think as we all kind of see and agree, the demand for Spark will go up. I know Morecheese, when we start talking about what are some of the things Upland can do, you have something that you're going to kind of talk to us about and so forth, which I'm really interested to hear because you have some insights I don't have yet. So I'm looking forward to that. But I think that that's kind of where we're at. And with that, I want to open it up to the node folks, Mr. FR, Nosif, and
Actually, if I may real quick, Deck, I just wanted to point out real quick, this is Cam DeCruz. I'm helping run Mexican Town right now. I'm definitely loving these low Spark rates, but point anybody who was here back to the West Coast build competition. We don't have anywhere. I mean, obviously that was a very special circumstance, but I don't think we're anywhere close to where Spark is going to be. And there was a time where just for one competition, Spark was running at 3,000 to 4,000 a Spark a day. I think that this push to have like community, the idea of community governance or some sort of community spawned collection really drove a lot of enthusiasm. And I think once Upland really gives us an idea of where that's going, not even considering the racing and everything else to come, I think there's a lot of excitement behind Spark and a lot of excitement of what this can be. People are just getting a little bit tired of not knowing anymore. It's been damn near a year since we've had a real discussion about what this is.
Yeah, I'll follow off on that too. Thanks for jumping in, Cam. Like a lot of things in Upland, Spark appears to be suffering kind of an identity crisis. But is that us expecting too much too soon? Is it a case of, being patient, wait and see sort of thing? Because as it currently stands now, I think Spark, by and large, by the community, is being used to generate UPIX, where that's not really what the core functionality of it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be used for construction. That's an element of it. But I think at the moment, the pendulum is swung way, way over into that direction.
Yeah, when customers are saying they'd rather use the Spark to build versus put a build in and start a build, says a lot.
Yeah, if I may, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, I see like 5K points, like about like the decrease of the recent decrease of the Spark prices, like from the smallest impact to the biggest, like from how I see a little. Yeah, I think like the treasure hunting and the Spark Weeks. Yeah, you can like gather a lot of Spark, but it's like kind of not everyone that have the power to gather much Sparks. But I think it's impact a little bit. The next, I think it's also there is a lot now of like kind of platform and organization and small cooperative that facilitate like the to reach the people to the other to share their sparks, so it's way more easy to rent your spark now since than compared to the beginning. So I think like that impact a little bit like the market, like it's through the market of the spark offer. I think too there is like for how I see it, like the decrease, like the recent decrease, I think there is like a big impact from like the new structures that are probably coming in the next weeks or months. Because if I take my angle, for example, I stopped building on my plots on Red Hook right now. I'm actually like helping like building the other because I'm waiting for the new structure because I don't want to build like those nice buildings, but I mean like we know them now. We need something else. So yeah, I keep my plots to build those new type of building that will pop in Brooklyn. So I save my so, and if I would be looking for Apex, I would rather like rent for Apex. And that's come to the 4 points. It's like the economy is quite down those days. So people, they are struggling to find, Apex a way to another. So yeah, it's a good way to gather Apex like Spark. And then the last one, I think it's cars, because like cars will take Apex of Spark, of course. So maybe people, they are starting like gathering Apex to be able to, reload cars for maybe a race, or I don't know. We don't know really how the gameplay will be. So maybe there is people there, yeah, they kind of like gather Apex to be able to buy more Spark, when it will be needed in the next week, months. Yeah, that's my angle.
So I have to just add on to what everyone has said, basically, and that's one nice thing with the suggestion or proposal 659 is it's kind of low-hanging fruit. I mean, a lot of the development of Upland is very technological, and you have to develop certain mechanism, and it's programming involved and so on. But in principle, you could implement. I mean, the idea of Spawn neighborhood collection is that it doesn't require any technological investments, really. They could just come up with some metric. They don't even need to commit to it forever. They could say, we're going to have a neighborhood collection for a few years or for some time, or the top 10% in terms of this metric or that metric. So they could really act on this without that much investment, I think. And given the amount of investment the community has made and the excitement around this, without actually having anything tangible as a reward, it's all about just building for speculation for the future and for the community. If they just had this little nugget of something, I think that could be amazing. And I don't think it requires that much.
It's probably a case that, this is kind of leading edge technology in the space. I imagine that putting something together like automatically spawned neighborhood collections would be quite tricky to manage. So it may be a case where they don't actually know how they're going to run it yet as well, but that's something that they could communicate.
Yeah.
Can I just add on to that and just say it doesn't have to be automatic.
Yeah.
It could be just a decision they made and they can be transparent about how they make the decision.
Yeah. I just talked to a lot of the team, General Moore, X1, and Dirk at the LA meetup. And according to as much as I can get in detail about the, neighborhood collections and Spark usage in cars, is that it seemed like they were waiting for cars to be the final layer of friction, so that they can begin creating the rubric for the matrix or metrics to be able to see how to score these neighborhoods. Because again, I'm trying, at the same time I'm getting details, I'm trying to read between the lines because they're trying not to give me too much, I assume. And it was the reason for the final layer is because between flying, training it there, and now cars, you can better gauge how people are traveling. And according to what I did kind of get from how they're going to then degrade the sends, is where you'll have that the send being that final or only the cheapest way to travel, which would be walking. And then they're going to go ahead and create that 5-to-1 where it can take you hours to get to one place if you use a send with no car or plane or train or stuff like that. So of course, and this was mostly from General Moore, where he was saying that the friction is going to allow them to see how valuable that area is. Because if you have a car, if you have the option to train, if you have the option to fly, then and you're still not leaving, let's say, that area, then the metric is going to figure that out, where there's very little movement going on in the car air space outside of racing, which I think is going to be offboarded to an AI server, blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to see, okay, then we can start scoring by movement. We can start scoring by sales, which they can't even score our neighborhood until all the MetaVenture stores are available to everybody, and so on and so forth. So reading between the lines, I don't see neighborhood collections coming in for at least another year, where they have cars matured, the Spark matured, and possibly even STEM, starting to get rolled out. And then they'll see how, are people building parks? Are people building, adding, ivy the side of their buildings, stuff like that.
Different, how different things can be used to beautify a neighborhood or build up on the neighborhood. And that kind of leads me to then, and we probably have about 12 minutes left. So that kind of leads me to the third topic of what can Upland do to foster the Spark economy and kind of build around it. And the reason I keep bringing it back to the Spark economy is I really do think that one of the key elements of Upland and what really drew me in was the idea of an economic model that wasn't designed around the CCG concept, right? Just buy the most expensive card and you win. I come from the Magic the Gathering space back in the 90s. And so the idea of being able to build something more like a Sid Meier civilization where you can build a whole economy around something was really interesting to me. And that's, as I said before, I'm horrible at city releases, but I've been able to do pretty well with building out these metacorps. And I really do think that Spark and the economy model around Spark is what can help players find passive income or non-monthly earnings income, which Upland keeps saying they want to move more towards a community-driven economy versus a subsidized economy. Well, Spark is definitely one of those ways to do it. So with that, we've said quite a bit about 659. What do folks think about vehicles? Anyone want to jump in and start on that one?
Sure, I can start. I'm really excited about it. Again, particularly because I might be the youngest node or community starter here. I just started in December, founded the Board Uplander Club in January, and we kind of hit the ground running because studying Upland and reading the papers for as long as I did, I figured that my best entry, being kind of late in the game, is to have the mentality to build the community first. So I always preach the culture over collections so that people can have a better understanding of how not to spend so much UpX chasing the collections. Now we see a ton of bag holders because of it. In the car aspect, for me, because again, I was going in business first or meta ventures first, this completely opens up the meta venture space outside of just Upland generated content, because according to, again, at the LA meetup, everything that I was able to get, they're expecting body shops, mechanics, even community manufacturers. So when it comes to that. Then now we're talking about expanding the market structure to multiple markets, spreading the Spark around and the UpX, and allowing all of us to eventually kind of hit our stride, hit our lane into what meta venture we want to get into.
I think
I'm very excited.
The Goldsmiths put a comment in there.
Yeah,
in the chat
I was
think,
going to ask if Goldsmith can go through his comment.
Yeah, do you want to jump in, Goldsmith? And then don't forget we gotta hear this tricky stuff that Cheese is brewing.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to get. I mean, we still have residents and then the meta ventures. So a lot, and I know we got like 5 minutes.
No, we got we can
10?
stretch it out for another 10. That's fine.
Okay,
10, 15.
all right. So Goldsmith,
Yeah.
hit us with your knowledge.
Wah, wah, wah. I'll just read
Okay.
it.
Look. Oh yeah,
here he is.
you can read it. I'm jumping back and forth for work calls.
Okay, so I'll just read it out. The Goldsmiths has put the real driver in Spark prices seen 3 to 9 months in the future will be the minting of player-generated content from sources such as decor, structure ornaments, massive manufacturing structures we do not even have yet, and cars. These will be commercial demands, and I think this is what Cheese is going to be chatting about, and will drive up the rental rates of Spark and fully shift the market, drawing Spark rental from residential home markets. For the immediate future, current structures are the only current Spark requirements, and if anyone wants to build them in the next year, the next 3 months is the time to do it. When other use cases for residential structures exist, the Spark rates will have already increased, driven by user-generated content demands, which can be considered as commercial interests that will be more, bloody hell, Goldsmith, use some comments, will be more capable to cope with increased Spark rental rates than smaller individual account holders. Again, now is the time to build Generation 1 structures. Commercial demands will draw the majority of the Spark rental market in the future.
Now you know why I didn't want to read. But he's hitting all the same notes that I think we've all been talking about, that if you, and I think I heard this yesterday, and I think you talked about it last week in yours, and then I think during another, I watched so many of these things, I don't know who it was now, sorry for whoever it was, but they were talking about that if you wait for it to come out. Oh, we were talking about the BE shops that people had 3 months, and I think it might have been Goldsmith actually was talking about it, or someone else.
Cheese was talking about
Cheese,
that. Yeah.
Yes, that if you waited 3 months.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, sorry. But Cheese, you were talking about that if you wait 3 months to come out and start building when they announce it, you're already behind because everyone else has already been building towards it. You want to talk about it?
Basically, when the Block Explorer shops first came out, a lot of people were a bit butthurt and said, what about us? What about us? And it was expressed that more Block Explorer shops will be coming out down the line in a few months. It was specified. So if you were that, kind of motivated to want to do this, or this was something that you were really wanting to open up as your meta venture, you should have started preparing day one of when they said, we're going to be putting this out in the future. Create a website, create a network, get those 50, get as many people who want to do business with you as possible, offer some incentives. These shops are real businesses. They can't give them out willy-nilly, and they need to have a certain criteria in order to kind of gauge your interest and work ethic. So yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I'll skip a little bit on resident address because we can talk about that last, but that's a good segue into your meta venture conversation. So you want to clue us in on that?
Sure. I'm not muted. All right. So basically, I'm partnering with Ben68 to work with him on his outdoor decor meta venture. And to understand more about the structuring of how Spark will be used, I reached out to Jennifer and kind of asked her a few questions. And I spoke to Jennifer before this. I made sure I wasn't overstepping or saying anything that isn't supposed to be said. But she gave me some really positive information. There isn't a specific date to look towards, but after the initial release of manufacturing, where the owner of the MetaVenture will be the only one allowed to stake to build their decor items, which sucks for those who don't have 20 Spark like Ben. So I'm sure it's going to happen fast. Others will be allowed to stake their Spark as well. And I believe that's gonna be a huge push for Spark right there, and a huge push for those like yourself and Mossy who are in the business of renting Spark and building on things. There's not only going to be a big push for that, but I think more people are going to be motivated to build a lot more as well. And I can't go into any much further. She did say that they were going to also come out with a list kind of things to look forward to, which to me was even more than what I asked, which was amazing on her part. But I can't go any further into it, as I promised to try to be as vague as possible on the subject and not share.
But I think the key there is there was speculation that other individuals would be able to contribute Spark towards metafacturing, but nothing had ever really been clarified around it. And it seems that we're starting to get more and more of a concrete direction in that there will be some engagement model for other players to participate in metaventure production. To Goldsmith's point.
She definitely clarified for me in this conversation. And to my other point, you can't rely on owners, especially ones that just came in with very little Spark, to be the only ones building their own stuff. Like, you have somebody with 5 Spark compared to people with 20 Spark. It's not going to last very long. There's going to be a lot of throwback, and they're going to get that community contribution set up fast.
And I know at UCC, we brought in Lemmy back in like November to be our director of manufacturing because we were so excited about it. I mean, it's April now and we still have no clue, but we know it's going to happen at some point. So we're ready, just don't know when. And that, you have manufacturing with the MetaVentures and the decor shops and so forth, but then you also have the concept of vehicles. And vehicles and Spark, I think, are going to have a very interesting relationship from fueling to repairs. And I think that it's really going to kind of drive the use of Spark in that direction as well. And we don't know if it's going to be where it's self-use only. So you need your own personal Spark to be able to manage a vehicle, or can you have other people put it, or can you rent through a fueling station Spark to fill up your vehicle? If we're doing racing, how do we get all the race cars prepped and ready for the race kind of thing? So, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of there's still a lot of information that's needed around it. Do we know that you're going to need Spark to do repairs on a vehicle? Yes, we know that. Talking to some of the Upland staff, we do know that the vehicle NFTs will have certain characteristics, and that those characteristics can be damaged, and they will need to be repaired through Spark before the characteristic is whole. And so I think that repair shops and the like will actually be interesting, and that would be good functionality for structures.
If I may, I really wonder. I don't know if like Cheese just related that just before. I'm not 100% sure, but like probably in the manufacturer, like for example, like MM Motors, they will have to rent Spark from the community to build the cars. That's really possible because the cars need to be, it need to take a resource to build cars from the roots, So probably it will be like an Upland mechanic. That's what they are talking about, the Spark exchange, like in game. that will be probably that. It will be like a big pool that if you stack your Spark there, it will be straightly reserved for like manufacturer or something like that. And this could increase the price of Spark, like because there will be a lack of Spark on the market then.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see if it's kind of like the way they did with the stadiums, where they just kind of had the community, or do they really actually take advantage of creating a economic model where Meta Motors rents the Spark out from the players, paying them in UPIX, at a market rate and whatever it is, and that market rate then is adjusted because you have a big manufacturing plant coming in and buying Spark. As we've all said, Spark rates are very much market driven. And so I think that's going to be interesting. I think it's also going to be interesting because they have said they will let players create their own assembly plants and so forth for their own cars. But it sounds like you will have to use Spark to do R&D to develop your blueprint or whatever it might be that they're going to use. And then you'll have to have the structure and the Spark to be able to create the assembly line for production and so forth. So yeah, I think vehicles, racing, and that is probably going to be the first true economic driver for the community in Upland.
Yeah, as far as everything that I was able to get information-wise on cars, is they envision manufacturing of the cars to be a fully community-driven thing. Nothing that I heard from Dirk or General Motor, any of the team, is that M Motors will be the leader or the main competition for us. According the best, again, this is the best I can get out of them, is M Motors will be something like a white label. So they're gonna start off building the cars to give everybody car access and a template, and then at that point, just like with Meta Ventures, you sign up for a body shop, a mechanic shop, whatever, even a manufacturer, and then you have to prove that you have 55 Spark, just like with the Block Explorers and stuff like that, so that you can build up. But their full concept is community builds. Like they're not going to really be the makers. It's the same, and I got the same impression with the buildings. Once the new buildings come out, you're going to start seeing Upland slowly kind of separate itself from that whole building manufacturer, because the user will be able to generate that content.
Yes, and Mossy Jake, I know you wanted to jump in, so go for it. And we probably have about 3 minutes left.
Cool. Real quick on the number of Spark that Metaverse Motors has and the plots of land size. I think it's good to know and to note. They have 65 Spark in their arsenal, and they have 2 plots of land. One that's going to be the factory, which is complete, and one that we assume will be the MetaVenture location where they could sell the car, as they can't do it in the same building. But what's good to know, and I think this is good for other people who are trying to start a MetaVenture in the game and think, do I not have enough Spark? 65 is a decent number, but it's not that far-fetched. It's not like we gave the game gave them thousands. They only have 65. And so if Metaverse Motors and the size of that plot of land and the amount of Spark they have, if that's going to be the max cap of like what production could be, anybody underneath that's going to do well. You don't need to have 65 in the largest plot in the game to be number one. We already have Metaverse Motors, but to take a shot at it, you don't need to have a lot, I don't think. So I think that'll be huge. It'll tide us over until they can allow us other Spark stakers to help out. But Metaverse owners, I'm excited for you guys. This should be cool.
Good point. Good point. All right. Morecheese, Ben, I'm going to leave the last word on all of this Spark economy to the two of you, and then you guys can take it from there.
Want to do your wine first? Hopefully it's
over to you, Cheese, and then we'll run the wheels and we'll get everybody out of here.
So I'm basically very pro Upland. I don't want it to rush through things, basically to just kind of fall on its face. I like it taking its time and getting things right, because we've seen it get things wrong and it's not fun. I'm not interested in another metaverse like Decentraland or Sandbox. I don't want to walk around and eat fake burgers and just do absolute shit. I want a place where I can, you know, build communities, network with like-minded, intelligent people, you know, treasure hunt, actually create something like a business and have people want to kind of come to me and know your name, and you just put out these wonderful community videos, and if you see something lacking, the community really steps up and takes it over. And you know, that new feedback where the 659 was put in, it was reviewed and it was looked at, and I'm sure they're going to take it and they're going to, you know, hopefully do something with it. But you know, and I'm going to look at the positive side of things and keep kind of, you know, fanning the flames of my investment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think for me, the key point is that the strength of the Upland metaverse is the community. Everybody knows that. It gets put out there all the time that the community is the number one key thing in this whole game or investment or game-esment, whatever you want to call it. So the community is there. The community is based on communication, you know, communications in all of the various Discords. It's in the DMs, it's in the small group chats. It's, you know, it's in shows like this, the Upland Cafe. It's all about communication. We need that communication reciprocated from the team. There have been drastic improvements on where we were as far as that sort of side of things, but, you know, can always be improved on. Sometimes a little bit of information, a little bit of communication goes a long way to, you know, to inspiring the community, easing any worries and that sort of stuff. So I guess that's what I'd be looking to see. And that goes back to the win of the week that I mentioned before, where, you know, it's simple things like the fixing the sprites on the treasure hunt tab. You know, these things can be done with communication. Let's keep that flowing. First of all, I want to thank everybody, my co-host Cheese, and especially Dak that came up with the idea and who jumped in to take it on board. And of course, all of the panel members that had their say as well. I think we've probably only just briefly touched on some of these points. It'd be good to dive in this again at a later date. Unfortunately, I have to get wrapped up to get off to in real life work. So I'll give the last word to you, Dak, before we run the 1 million UpX wheels.
659 Spark Economy.
We're not there yet, mate. We're not there yet. All right, we'll get that wheel. We'll get that wheel up and running. So if you haven't seen, this is the 1 million UpX draw that we run every week as part of our UDU podcast show. Now, of course, like the lotto, the chances are low, but you have to be in it to win it. Thank you to Jazz, who did some clickety-clicking and took the snapshot of who was live and active at about the 15-minute mark. So if your name is on this wheel, which I'm assuming you can all see, let's see who's going to play. Let's see, who's it going to be? No Surf.
Ooh.
No Surf.
Wow.
Are you there, No Surf? Uh-oh, has he gone?
You're muted, buddy.
Yeah, I'm wrong, but
what's the key phrase, No Surf?
What was that? It was the price, the big price.
You might want
I forgot the code word too, to be quite honest. Oh, no, Sif. 659. 659. No,
659.
Oh, he got it.
Ah, yeah, 659. The Spark Economy.
Nice. All right, we'll let that one slide this week. We're not always going to be so lenient, though. Cheese, I believe you can bring up the wheels on your end. I'll stop sharing because my computer really hates running those ones. So yeah, if you haven't seen, this is a 3-stage wheel. So Nosif will have his chance. The top prize on this wheel is 25K. Depending on what it lands on, Nosif can either choose to bank that UpX or he can roll again towards the 1 million. Nosif, tell Cheese when to spin the wheel.
Oh, got you guys. That's awesome. All right. Digga. Yeah, stop.
All right, let's see where we go.
Oh, guys, that's crazy.
Oh, has he got it?
No.
1,000 UpX. So Nosif, do you want to bank that UpX? Do you want that 1,000 or are you willing to risk it and spin again?
Let's spin again, guys.
Alrighty,
Whoa.
so the next wheel, we have a top prize of 50,000 UPEX, but the chances of getting a lower prize are increased. When you're ready, tell Cheese to spin that wheel.
All right, guys. Stop.
All right, let's see.
That's so funny, guys. You really.
Oh my
I think-
God, it was so close.
Oh, he just missed it again.
Oh
but
my
you
gosh.
You got more UPEX.
Now
you
this
went
you're
from
gonna have to think
1,000
about it. Yeah.
2,500. Now, do you
That's
want to
awesome.
risk
I
2,500?
I can like play again and again and again until I lose everything, right?
Nice. He's got the gambling spirit
Yeah.
like Jazz had last week. All right, so this is the big one. There's 1 million on this one. So we'll see
Okay.
how we go. Best of luck.
I really don't want to win, guys.
We want you to win.
Yeah, we want it to go off. Just not twice in a row.
Yeah.
All right, when you're ready.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
He's trying to
let's
stop it on the million. Go
Stop.
Cheese. Go. All righty. Best of luck. We'll see where we're at.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Here we go.
Oh, that's pretty close.
Whoa, that was close. So
That was so
congratulations,
close.
I
Nosif.
was
You have
fun.
won 250 UPEX. I will sling that to you after we go. And good on you for having the gambling spirit, mate, and going for it. It will go off at some
Always,
stage. It will go off at some stage. And as I said at the top of the show, Cheese, can you do stop screen share, please? So yeah, just in wrapping up, as I said at the top of the show, if you have an Upland NFT or Metaverse product, service, or event to promote, opportunities are available for sponsorship and engagement in this podcast. Yeah, and any proceeds go towards that prize specifically. So we're trying to get that balance up. I've fronted the first 1 million. Once we get that bumped up, we're going to put, 2 1 million chances on the wheel. And the more that balance goes, the higher the chances will be, until eventually it will go off for sure. So just in wrapping up, thank you everyone again for jumping in. Make sure you like and subscribe, all of that good stuff. Spread the word. The UDU podcast show is now open to the public each and every week via the MBE server. And you yourself can join in for a chance at the 1 million UPEX wheel, just like Nosif did then. Cheese, that's it. Can you wrap it up and get us out of here, please?
You're done. Get out of here. I don't have my chicken wings, so just get
Again.
out of here for now.
Later.